My apologies, please. My apologies, please. I wanted to go live and then I had an issue with my internet connections. So I have to start all over again. So that is why there's a delay. I'm having an internet connection issue this morning. So please bear with me. I'm going to be having my internet connection is fluctuating this morning. So that is why there's a delay on my end. So my apologies, please, for coming late despite posting that I'm live this morning. So please, my apologies, please. I have an internet connection issue this morning. So here I am. We're going to go live this morning. We're going to go live this morning. I'm going to manage the internet connection the way it is for today. So bear with me if the picture is not clear. My internet is fluctuating this morning. So I don't know if you guys can hear me. Right? So please bear with me. Bear with me this morning, please. So this morning we will be talking about I'm trying to figure out this internet issue out. I'm having a problem this morning with my internet. So I don't know if you guys can hear me properly. Can somebody tell me if my audio is clear? Can you guys hear me? If my audio is clear, can you guys? Somebody should tell me if my audio is clear. All right. I'm having an internet connection this morning. My internet is fluctuating, so I'm going to manage it today, and then get it sorted out before next broadcast. Okay. So if I need a confirmation. I need somebody to let me know if my internet is clear. Can somebody let me know if my internet is clear before I proceed? I mean, if my audio is clear. Can somebody let me know if my audio is clear before I proceed? Because I'm having an issue with my internet. They are fluctuating. My internet is fluctuating. Can somebody let me know if you can hear me? Can you guys hear me? I need to know if you can hear me. I'm having an issue with internet connection this morning, so I'm trying to sort it out. My video is fluctuating, so my video is fluctuating, so I'm trying to get it fixed. Admin, can you get this internet issue sorted out? My video is fluctuating, please. I'm trying to see how I can get this thing up and running. Okay, we're going to manage it. Let's keep going. All right. I'm waiting for audience to come online before we start. Okay. My internet is fluctuating this morning, so I'm having an issue with it. This morning, I want to be discussing from what you can see on the screen, I want to be discussing what you must have in your diabetic emergency kit. That is the topic this morning. What do you have in your emergency? This is the topic this morning. We'll be discussing what should I put in a diabetic emergency kit. I've discussed briefly this emergency kit before on one of my videos. If you guys can remember, when I said if you guys are traveling out of home, if you are traveling from the city to the village, or you're going to sleep in a friend's place, your boyfriend's place, in your girlfriend's place, that you are not going to be returning back home that day. Okay, there's an diabetic emergency kit that you must have, even in your own car. Even if you are going to work, okay, you are going to work, you have a car, you must have an emergency kit in your car. Okay, whatever drug you have at home, you should have some in your car and then in your at workplace. So there are certain steps you have to take. Okay, if you're a diabetic, if you are stepping out of home, there are certain things you must have with you when you are going out. Or you're a caregiver and then you have a son or a daughter that is a diabetic, there is a specialized school that you have to put your child in. Okay, there's a specialized school that has the facility to deal with kids that have diabetes. Okay, so you have to have those emergency kits with them in school. So in your absence, if there's any emergency in school, the school should be able to take care of your child. So we're going to be discussing what should you have in a diabetic emergency kit. That is the topic this morning we'll be discussing. All right, that is the topic this morning we should be discussing. All right, so while I'm going to exercise some patience, I'm going to answer some questions online. So let's just wait for about 10 minutes so everybody come online and then we can then start our program fully. Okay, I'm going to make it brief today. Because of the fluctuation on my internet connection. I'm having a kind of fluctuation on my internet connection, so I'm going to make it brief. Okay, I'm going to make it brief. Let me see what I can do. So once again, please, I'm having an issue with my internet today. It is fluctuating. So I'm going to manage it today, finish this program and get it sorted out. So that is why there is a delay. Okay, that is why there is a delay in it. Now, one more thing we are going to be discussing today. Okay, one more thing we are going to be discussing today is, let me say it this way. Okay, one more thing we are going to be discussing today is, as you can see from the screen, is what you must have in your diabetic emergency kit is the topic that I'll be discussing today. I have briefly discussed it in the past that if you are a diabetic, okay, if you are a diabetic, you must have your emergency kit. It's necessary you have your emergency kit at home. So that is what we'll be discussing today. Okay, I'm waiting for some people to come online, and then we can start. Today's broadcast is going to be a little bit crazy because my internet is fluctuating. So my internet is fluctuating, so the camera is a bit flicking. Now, if you cannot hear me, if my audio is not clear, please draw my attention and let me know that my audio is not clear. So please bear with me for today's broadcast because of the situation I have with my internet. Uh, is fluctuating, so the camera is fluctuating, so it's not going to be that clear. But as long as you understand what I'm trying to say and the audio is clear, just make do with it. I'm going to use today's broadcast, I'm going to use much of bullet points. Instead of talking, I'm going to use bullet points in my broadcast to pass on my message on today's topic. Like what you see on the screen is the topic, so I'm going to use it that way today to discuss the program. Okay, so that you can understand it. Have a pen and paper ready because you are going to write a lot today. You are going to write a lot today, so make sure you have a pen and paper to write this thing down. If you are a caregiver or you are a diabetic, okay, this is for you. This is for you. You must have your diabetic emergency kit. And why I say that it is a must, if you're a diabetic or you are a caregiver, you have a son or a daughter, or you have an aging parent, or you are traveling out of your home. If you are traveling out of your home, or you'll be spending the night in your friend's place, in your boyfriend place, in your girlfriend place, as long as you are not returning home, you must go with your emergency kit. It is important when you are leaving home, you must carry your emergency kit with you so that in times of emergency, they will be able to render you help. Now, if you have a son or a daughter that is diabetic, you must enroll your child in a specialized school that have the facility to attend to children that are diabetic. Okay, and they should have their emergency kit with them. Okay, so that is why I say this is for you. You must have a pen and paper to write it down. Now, if you are leaving home, maybe you are traveling from the city to the village to go and see your family members, or you are traveling from the village to the city to see your family members, you must carry your diabetic emergency kit with you. It is necessary, and there are procedures that you have to follow, and there are things that you must have on those kits, and that is what we are going to be discussing today. Now, if you are a diabetic and you drive, or even though you don't drive, you must have your emergency kit in your car. Whatever you have at home, you must have them in your car. Even at your workplace, you must have the emergency kit. Like for example, I have my own emergency kit in my car. Okay, in all my cars, they have their emergency kit. Okay, I have my emergency kit in each of the car. Whatever I have at home, I have it in my car. Okay, and in my workplace, because you never know when there will be an emergency, and then you need, even though you don't have the energy to administer those medications to you or your insulin, you should be able to guide them and let them know what is in your bag, in that kit, and tell them what to do. That is why you need those emergency kits with you at all times. Even at work, okay, and there's an emergency and you're diabetic, when you are at work, let your workplace know that you are diabetic, or let your friend, two of your friends at work, know that you are diabetic, and in terms of emergency, let them know what to do. So that once there's an emergency, they know you're diabetic, and then because you have a close friend with you, they know what to do because they know where your kids are and know how to help you. So when they call for help, like an ambulance, paramedics, when they arrive, they should be able to help you attend to the paramedics and tell them your situation. That is why you need your emergency kit with you at all times. In your car, you must have your emergency kit with you. So should there be an emergency while driving, you must have it with you to help yourself out. Just pull over by the side of the road and then do whatever you have to do to get back on the road. That is why you need diabetic emergency kit with you at all times. So today, you will be writing a lot. Get a pen and paper to write these points down so that you know what you are going to be carrying along. Now, once again, my apologies to all my friends, all my fans all over the world. I'm having an issue this morning with my internet connections. They are fluctuating. They are not in their full blast. So please bear with me. today, you can see from the camera is fluctuating. You know, now bear with me. I'm going to use bullet points to discuss my views out today. So that is why I say have a pen and paper to write these points down. Okay, so we are going to be starting right away. So that is the intro of what we will be discussing today. As you can see from the screen, is what should I put in a diabetic emergency kit. So today you will be able to know what you should have in your emergency diabetic kit. All right. So this is courtesy of a medical friend that helped me to prepare this today because yesterday I was busy. I could not prepare what I could do today. So I asked a friend of mine that is a medical doctor to help me prepare this for today. So, because you cannot just come into a camera and then start talking, you have to prepare. You have to do a lot of research and write-ups. You got to write your points down and then get somebody to review it. You know, even if you are in that profession, you also have to give your friend that is in the same profession with you to go through it and review it. Okay. So before you go live on camera, you must do your research, get your points down, prepare it, and then before you do the presentation. So today is courtesy of a medical friend, Dominic Fontaine, okay, and reviewed by Jamie Henderson, a medical doctor in epidemiologist. Okay, so I'm going to do that presentation on what should I put in a diabetic kit. Okay, what should I put in a diabetic kit? All right. Once again, this presentation is reviewed by Dominic Fontaine. Is a medical doctor in the field of diabetes. All right. So let's start by discussing what you need in your diabetic kit, emergency kit. All right. So let's. All right. Meanwhile, please, if you have a question, feel free to ask me. So what you see on the screen is the topic we're going to be discussing today. And I re-emphasize once more again, have your pen and paper because you're going to write a lot today. I'm going to go take it slow. I'm going to take it slow. So if I'm too fast when you are writing, please draw my attention to repeat it back again. As I said, I will do less talking today. I'll do my most of the presentation through a bullet point. Like what you see on the screen, I'm going to just put them there so that you'll be able to see it because my internet is not working properly this morning. So, so I'm going to use more of bullet points to discuss it today. So, and it's going to be short so that I'll be able to fix this internet connection. So my internet is bad this morning, but I'm going to manage it. I've already come online, so I cannot go back. So let's manage what we have today, this moment, and then discuss the topic. So what should you put in a diabetic emergency kit? Let me go back again and summarize my intro. As I said, if you're a diabetic, okay, like me, okay, or you are a caregiver, you have a son or a daughter, or you have a wife or a husband, or you have an aging parent that is diabetic, there is something we call diabetic emergency kit. And it is very, very important you have it. You must have your kit at all times. And why did I say so? Even though you have your medications, all your kits at home, anytime you are leaving home and you are going to be away for more than 2 hours, okay? For instance, you are going for a party, you must go with your emergency kit with you in your car or in your bag. That is one. If you are leaving home that day and you are not coming back, you are going to be sleeping in a friend place, either your boyfriend, your girlfriend, a family friend. Okay, you are not coming back that night, you must have your emergency kit with you. That is two. If you are leaving town, you are traveling from the city to the village to go and see your parent or your family, you must have your emergency diabetic emergency kit with you. That is three. If you are traveling from the village to the city to see your family or a friend, you must carry your diabetic emergency kit with you. That is four. If you have a car, you are going to work. Maybe you are 9 to 5, you are working. You must have your diabetic emergency kit in your car. That is six. Whatever you have at home is separate from what you are going to have at home in your car. Seven, in your workplace, you must have your diabetic emergency kit with you in your workplace or in the marketplace where you do your business. That is seven or eight. And then let your co-worker or in your business area where you are conducting your business that you are diabetic. And this is my diabetic emergency kit. Should there be an emergency with me, this is what you are supposed to do. Okay. Now, if you have a son or a daughter, a child, let me use the word a child, that is diabetics, it is recommended you find a school that has the facility for handling diabetic children. At least you know your child is safe in that school. So should there be an emergency, the school already know how to attend to your child because they have the diabetic emergency kit in that school. And if you cannot afford to put your child in that specialized school because it's too expensive, then you want to go to a public school or a government school that doesn't have that facility, then you should prepare a diabetic emergency kit and put it in that school. Let that school have it in their office and explain the situation of your children or your child to that school. So should there be an emergency, they know what to do with that emergency kit. Okay? So that is why these are some of the reasons why you should have your diabetic emergency kit. Now, another thing why you must have it in your car, like in my car, I have all my emergency kit in my car, separate from what I have at home. And I said in the past, okay, when a government gives you a driver license, that driver license is a privilege, not a right. It can be taken away from you temporarily or for life. Because when you are diabetic, if you are not responding to treatment or you are not treating your diabetic situation properly, the doctor treating you is supposed to report your health status to the Ministry of Transportation and let them know to temporarily buy your driver license, suspend your driver license for 3 months, 6 months, pending when you are able to take control of the diabetic situation. So they will temporarily suspend your license not to drive anymore until you are able to take care of your diabetic situation. And then they will reinstate your driver license. Or if they feel that you're a danger to the public, they can write to the Ministry of Transportation, please suspend the license indefinitely for life due to medical reasons of your diabetic situation. Then the Ministry of Transportation will now suspend your license permanently for life. You cannot drive anymore. If you want to go out, you have to get somebody, a driver, to drive you to wherever you are going. Because driver license is a privilege and not a right. It can be taken away from you at any time. The reason being is, if you are driving on a public street, you might be a danger to the public, to the society, to the community where you live, or where you work, or where you are shopping at. What happens if you go into an emergency whereby you have a fluctuation in your sugar level and it drops below the normal level and you go into panicking or you faint or you couldn't see, you have a motion you couldn't see? What happens? You become, that car you are driving become a weapon to take some life, to kill innocent people on the street because you are weak or you all of a sudden you cannot see, you lose conscience, and then you veer out of the road and then kill a lot of people, pedestrians on the street. Or all of a sudden you become blind because diabetes can make you go blind without any warning because you are not taking control of your sugar level. You might lose your eyesight even while driving your car. So what happened? You cannot see the street, you can't see where you are going, your car, and you become a weapon to kill innocent pedestrians. So that is why you must have your emergency kit with you. Should your blood sugar level drop below the line and you go into panicking and you become weak, all you have to do was to take control of the car, pull over on the side of the road, and then you know what to do to bring your sugar level up. And then get back on the road and start driving. So that is why you should have your emergency kit with you at all times. Okay? That is why you should have your emergency kit at all times. So now let's go into the main point. As I said this morning, you could see that my internet is not working properly. So my video is fluctuating. Just manage it the way you can see it today. All right. I'm going to use the bullet points as what you can see on the street. I mean, on the screen is what I would do. I'm going to paste it there so that you guys can understand what I'm talking about. Now, you need to have a pen and paper to write. You need to have a pen and paper to write all these points down. So now, being prepared in the event of emergency is very important if you're diabetic, especially if you have a chronic health conditions like diabetes. Okay? As a diabetic, you must be prepared in the event of emergency at all times. If you're a caregiver, you must be prepared in the event of emergency at all times, especially if you have a diabetic in your family. And then putting together a diabetic emergency kit can both reassuring and practically being helping you to feel safer while traveling in a day of your life. So I'm going to remove this a little bit now. Okay. This internet is making me uh, I'm gonna try to see this. So as I said, being prepared in the event of an emergency if you're diabetic is very important. You must be prepared at all times. Okay? You must be prepared at all times if you have diabetics. And putting together a diabetic emergency kit can be both reassuring and practical, helping you feel safer while traveling or in a daily life. But knowing what to put in your kit may feel confusing. Okay? May feel confusing. All right? So that is what we are going to discuss today. What are those things you're supposed to have in those kits? Are you prepared in terms of an emergency if you have diabetics? Are you struggling to find how to prepare your diabetic emergency kits? These are the things we will be discussing this morning. Okay? These are the things we'll be discussing this morning. Now, you must have a pen and paper. Now, there are different kinds of diabetic emergency kits. There are, pre-made. You can go in the shop, like if you go in the pharmacy or in a supermarket, they are already pre-made emergency kit for diabetics. You can find them in the store. If you are confused and you don't know what to put in a bag, you go to some of this big store like ShopRite or some of these big pharmaceutical shops. They have already made pre-made diabetics emergency kit you can buy. All right. If you know you don't have the money to buy it, then you can now prepare it at home by yourself. But making your own is often best. Making your own kit at home is often best. This way, you can tailor it to your specific needs. Because if you go and buy those ones in the shop already put together, they might not contain all you need to satisfy your health situation. But you yourself know your health status, you know what you're passing through. So making your own will make you feel safer because you know what you need. It is being tailored. You are not packing your bag specifically according to your health situation. Okay. So the general rule of thumb is to make sure you have enough diabetic supplies in your kit for at least 1 week or two. So make sure that when you are preparing your emergency kit, make sure you have emergency kit that can sustain you for at least minimum 1 week to 2 weeks. Okay. So supply wise, you should pack enough for at least 1 to 2 weeks. Lubime, you're welcome. Good afternoon. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday to you. Okay. So you should have, when making your own emergency kit, you must carry your supply that should last you at least 1 to 2 weeks. Okay. As I said, you can go to the shop. Okay. You can go to the shop. They are already pre-made the emergency diabetic emergency kit you can buy in the shop. But those ones you buy in the shop might not contain or satisfy your health situation. So it is better you prepare your own emergency kit at home because at least it is tailored to your specific need according to your health situation. Okay? And then the general rule of thumb is to make sure you have enough diabetic key supplies that is going to last you for at least minimum to 1 week to 2 weeks. So for instance, uh, you are traveling to the village, or you are traveling from the village to the city. Definitely you are not coming back that day. You are going to be on the road for minimum 8 hours. Okay, you must carry your emergency kit must sustain you at least a minimum of 1 week to 2 weeks. You know how long you're going to be away from the city or from the village. So if you're going to be there for a month, if you, for instance, you are going to be in the city for a month, that means you have to carry the supplies that is going to last you for 2 months or 3 months, because you might decide that you're going to be there for a month and then you go there, you ended up spending 2 months to 3 months. So, for instance, if you are traveling, you know you're going to be away for 2 weeks, then you have to carry a supply that's going to last you for 6 weeks. Okay, to make sure that in case of a delay, you have extra medications or in your kit to sustain it for those durations. All right. So, as I said, there are already made ones you can buy in the shop, but they might not be specifically tailored to your special needs. So the rule of thumb is that prepare your own kits at home. But the question now is, you might be finding it very difficult, okay, of knowing what to put in your kit because it might be finding it confusing, and that is what we are going to trash out this morning. I'm going to give you guys all those items you must have in your kits. Please, once again, I'm having issue with my internet connection, so they are fluctuating. You can see my camera is not all that strong, so I'm just managing it this morning, and then just finish it. I've already started. I can stop, and then next broadcast is going to be better. I don't know why my internet was having issue this morning, so I'm going to try to fix it. So that is why I'm using bullet points to marshal out my point. So I said you must have a pen and paper to write it down. Okay, so that you know. So you must have a pen and paper to write a lot of things down. When I start giving you the list of those things, it's going to be in the kit. You must have a pen to write them down. So as I said, there are pre-made diabetic emergency kit you can buy in the shop. The question is, do they satisfy your special needs? Okay, it is better you prepare your own at home that is tailored to your special needs. Okay, and then we are going to break down common and recommended supplies to help you decide what goes in your own diabetic emergency kit. That's what we're going to be discussing today. I'm going to recommend things that you might need uh, in your kit. Okay, things that you might need in your kit. So the first point is have a supply that's going to last you at least 1 to 2 weeks. If you are going to be if you are going to be traveling out of your home to the village or village to the city, make sure you have something that is going to last you up to 1 to 2 weeks, depending on the duration of your trip. If you're going to be away for a week, then you can have 2 weeks. If you're going to be away for a month, make sure you have 2 months supply. So have extra 1 month. Should you go and couldn't make it back within that 1 month, if you're going to be away for 2 months, make sure you have 4 months supply. So you have 2 months extra in your kit. Because emergency can arise at any time. And I've given you guys and I've explained to you guys why you must have your emergency kit with you as a diabetic. Let me go back again and explain it one more for those that are joining me now. This is the reason why you must have a diabetic emergency kit. One, if you are a diabetic or you're a caregiver, you have a husband or a wife, or you have a child, a son or a daughter that is diabetic, you must have diabetic emergency kit prepared. If you are leaving home for the night and you are not coming back for that night because you're going to be spending the night in your friend's place, a boyfriend or girlfriend, carry your emergency kit with you for that night and let your friends know. The friends that you are visiting, let them know that you are diabetic so they know your hair started. Should there be an emergency, this is my kit and this is what you're going to do. Okay, let your friend that you'll be spending the night in their know your hair status, that you're diabetic. Should you have an emergency, I have my emergency kit with me, and this is what you guys are going to be doing. That is one. Two, if you are going to be traveling today, if you are going to be, if you have a child that is diabetic, make sure you enroll them in school that have the facility that can handle diabetic children. It's going to be more expensive to enroll your child in that school, but at least it's more safer. Should there be an emergency, the school has the facility and the kit to attend to your child while you are at work. Now, if you cannot afford that school and then you want to put your child in a public school or government school, now you have to prepare your own emergency kit and leave it at that school. Let the school know that I have a child, my child is diabetic, and this is the kit. Should there be an emergency, this is what you're going to do until I arrive or until paramedic arrive. Let them know the status of the child. Okay? Now, if you are traveling from the city to the village to see your family, or from the village to the city to see your family, you must carry your kit with you depending on the duration of your trip. So if there's any emergency on the road, you have your kit with you. And then make sure you wear a bracelet in your ribs that says, I am diabetic. Go and have a customized bracelet on your ribs. Your ribs has a bracelet on your ribs, or have a necklace on your chain, on your neck that says, I am diabetic. Or in your wallet, make a special card and write your name, the type of diabetes you have that says, I am diabetic, I am type 2 diabetic, and have it in your wallet. Because when you have an emergency, somebody's going to search your wallet and see what they find in your wallet, to know who you are. And when they open your wallet, they see, oh, this is her name, this is my address, this is my phone number of my nurse, of somebody to contact, or my doctor to contact, and I'm type 2 diabetes. You let those information be in that wallet. That you might neglect those little things, but that can save your life. Those things you neglect can be the way that saves your life. Okay? And then have your kit with you. At work, the same thing. Wherever you are working or doing a business, make sure you have your emergency kit with you. Let your business area, people that you do business with, let them know. Let at least 1 or 2 people know your situation, that you're diabetic, and this is where my emergency kit is in my store. Should I have an emergency, go to this place, get my emergency kit, and administer help for me, or bring it to me and know how to use it. As long as somebody can go there and get it for me while I'm there sitting, I'm weak, I fainted, and bring that kit to me, I can now administer the help that I need to myself. Like an insulin, you want to put an insulin to yourself. As long as somebody can go there and get it for you, you can now help it. Or you're asthmatic. For instance, you're asthmatic, you fainted, you cannot go. But if somebody come, you can point to that person, or you already told somebody there that I'm asthmatic. Should I have any emergency? Go to that cupboard, get me my puff near to me. The person can rush there and get it and give it to you, and then give you some puff to get it. So make sure you let your situation, your health situation, know where you're doing business. The same thing in your workplace. The same thing in your car. If you have a car, make sure you have a kit permanently in your car. Should there be an emergency, you'll be able to pull over the road and then render some help to yourself. That is why you need those emergency kits with you. All right. Now, so let's go to let me give you guys the breakdown of the recommended supplies that you might need. Okay. Let's go to the supplies you might need. Okay. The supplies that you might need. Okay. The inside of your kit will look different depending on what kind of diabetics you have and the personal needs. Once more, all right, let me go back. Courtesy, this topic I'm discussing today, I was busy yesterday. I was not able to prepare my own topic today to discuss. So I have to call a friend that is in the medical field to help me prepare today's broadcast. And this topic I'm doing today is medically prepared and reviewed by Dr. Dominic Fontaine. She's a medical doctor in the field of diabetics and endocrinologist, and also reviewed by Jamie R. Henderson. He's also a medical doctor. Right? So whatever I do here, I also sometimes get a second opinion, somebody to go through it and review it and make necessary corrections. All right. It's very, very important. So I'm giving a shout out to Dr. Dominic Fontaine for preparing today's broadcast for me, and I do appreciate it. So now let's go. Now let's go to the supply. The inside okay, the inside of your kit will look different depending on what kind of diabetics you have and your personal needs. So for instance, if you are preparing your own diabetic kits, the inside will look different from another person depending on your personal needs. You might, for instance, if you have diabetics, you have cholesterol issue, you have high blood pressure issue, you have asthmatic, your emergency kit will look different for someone who just only have type 2 diabetics, just only diabetics. It doesn't have cholesterol or high blood pressure or asthmatic. So everything depends on your health personal needs. So the way you pack your emergency kit, that's from somebody who doesn't have the same ailment with you. All right. So before going into diabetic specific medical supplies, okay, let's go over what personal identification and medical information you should include. Okay. Let me pose. Let's me put. So the inside of your kit will look different depending on what kind of diabetics you have and your personal needs. Okay, it will look different depending on what kind of diabetics you have and your personal needs. Okay, now okay, so before going into diabetic specific medical supplies, let's go over what personal identification and medical information you should include. All right. So this is where it's getting interesting. This is where it is getting interesting on those things that you name. Okay. This is where it's getting interesting. Do I have any question? Do I have any question with you guys? Um, now I'm in the section of the supplies to include. To include. The inside of your kit will look different depending on what kind of diabetics you have and your personal needs. Okay. Now, before going into diabetic specific medical supplies, let's go over what personal identification and medical information you should include. All right. Now, do you guys have your pen and paper? You guys have your pen and paper? Oh, this internet is messing me around today. All right, I'm waiting for. So before going into diabetic specific medical supplies, let's go over what personal identification and medical information you should include. All right. Now, in case of an emergency, bystanders should be able to know your name and who to call. Okay. Now it is getting interesting. In case of an emergency, bystanders should be able to know your name and who to call. Now, before I continue, let me remind all those that have not subscribed to my channel, please, if you have not subscribed to my channel or this is your first time coming to my channel, kindly do so now. And if you have already subscribed to my channel, please like, comment, and share. Let it go viral to your friends. Okay, the more I receive thumbs up, like, the more the channel is reviewed by many. Okay, there are a lot, thousands of people, thousands and thousands of people that doesn't know about. They can there's a channel or a page that deals with diabetes or where they can get help. All right, learn one or two things. So the more you like the page, the more you subscribe and share among your friends, the more it gets closer to those that are looking for help. Okay, in terms of knowledge about diabetes that are confused. So if you've not subscribed to my channel or this is your first time, kindly do so that anytime I drop a new content, you'll be notified, or any information, you'll be notified. All right. Once more, I thank those that are leaving comments, thumbs up, and sharing. I say thank you very much. Okay. We are growing. Now, Let's keep going. All right. Um, one more thing I'm going to do is I'm going to also share. Let me share a screen so that okay. I'm going to share it once more again to say for those that have been, I'm going to remove this for now. And I'm going to put it back later. For those that have been asking me, they could not find where to uh, buy the star and send or how to go about it. Uh, if you see, if you go to my page on any of my video, okay, because they were looking to find the star button on top of my page. Now, the star button is, you cannot see star button, but if you go to go to my page, any of my video you see on my video, you will see give. You see this give here? Okay, it's in any of my video. You click this give, it's gonna now take you to another page on Facebook where to buy any amount of star that you want to send and then send over. So if you go to any of my video on my page, just click on give to show an appreciation if you like what we are doing, okay, to show kind of a support. That is the least you can do, is to go to any of my video on my page, click give, right, and then it's going to direct you to another page where you can buy a number of stars that you want, you can afford, and then send over. So that is why I have to make, keep letting everybody know. And I believe now everybody has been aware how to or where to see uh, the give button icon and then click to go to the next page and buy a star. So thank you guys very much. Now let's go back to what I am discussing this morning. So now, in case of an emergency, bystanders should be able to know your name and then who to call. Okay? They should be able to know your name and who to call. So it is getting interesting now. So this is where you get a pen and paper to write all these things down. Okay? As I said, uh, let me start all over again. Putting together a diabetic emergency kit can be both reassuring and practical, helping you feel safer while traveling or in a daily life. But knowing what to put in your kit may feel confusing. All right. Now, the topic we are discussing this morning is, this is the topic I'm discussing this morning. What should I put in a diabetic emergency kit? All right. Uh, the inside of your kit will look different depending on what kind of diabetes you have and your personal needs. Now, before going into diabetic specific medical supplies, let's go over what personal identification and medical information you should include. All right. Now, in uh, in case of an emergency, bystanders should be able to know your name and who to call. Okay. They should be able to know your name and who to call. That is why I said before, in your wallet, put your phone number, your next of kin, your whoever they are going to call, write it down, your address, and then the type of diabetes you have. You can have it in your wallet, because if there's an emergency and then you can't respond to your environment, you should be able to search your bag, search your pocket, get your wallet to find your identification and know how to render help. It is very, very important. So we are going to the next one now. Okay. In case of in a worst case scenario, it is important for any first respondent to know what medication you take and any other health condition you have that could affect your care. Okay. So number one thing to do is, in case of an emergency, Bystanders should be able to know your name and who to call. That is why I said, if you're diabetic, you can go and customize a bangle or wrist bangle. Okay, wear it in your hand. Says I'm diabetic. Okay, all the time, or if you're traveling, or you have a necklace chain that says you are diabetic, or in your wallet, put some information that has your name, your phone number, your address, your next of kin to call. Should there be an emergency, and then the status of your health status. Diabetes, say I'm diabetic, type 2 diabetes or type 1 diabetes. So that in case of an emergency, bystanders should be able to know your name and who to call. All right. So that is it. Now, in a worst case scenario, it is important for any first responder to know what medications you take and any other health conditions you have that could affect your care. So now, after uh, uh, in the emergency, okay, bystanders should be able to know your name and who to call. Now, in the worst case scenario, it is important for any first responder to know what medications you take and any other health condition you have that will affect your care. All right. So now, let's go to the next one. Your medical information should be put in a sealed, waterproof plastic bag and should include, okay, and should include, all right, your medical information should be put in a sealed, waterproof plastic bag and should include the following, okay, and should include the following, okay. So your medical information should be put in a sealed, waterproof plastic bag and should include the following. Let's go to the following. One, okay, that is why I said you must have a pen and paper because this is now, you are now preparing your kit. This is how your kit, your diabetic kit should look like. This is what it should contain. One, a list of any other medical condition you may have. That's one. Two, any medication allergies. Three, copies of your prescription with you, up-to-date dosage. You must have copies of your prescription with up-to-date dosages. Four, an emergency contact information. An emergency contact information. Okay. Let's go to five. Copy of your photo ID and health insurance card, if you have any. Copy of your photo ID and health insurance card, if you had any. Six, name and phone numbers for your pharmacy and doctor's office. Okay. Names and phone numbers for your pharmacy, that is your chemist, and doctor's office. Seven, make, model, and serial number of your insulin pump or glucose monitor. So number seven, make, model, and serial number of your insulin pump or your glucose monitor. Okay. Eight, your basal rate. Your basal, we all know what is our basal rates. Insulin to carb ratio, blood sugar targets, insulin sensitivity factor, and correction factors for your insulin pump. Okay. So this is your medical information this is what your medical information should look like in that bag, in that emergency kit. Okay? This one is your medical information. This is what your medical information should look like in that bag. Okay? So now I've given you guys what your medical information look like before I give you guys what you should have in your kit. Okay? So, and I said supply wise, you should pack enough for at least 1 to 2 weeks of medications in your emergency kit. Okay. All right. You should have at least 1 to 2 weeks of your supply in your emergency kit. All right. So let's keep going. So diabetic disaster response coalition suggests including the following items. So now this is what is going to be in your bag. The first list I give you is your medical information. You have to put those information in your bag. Those are medical information. Now this one now is going to be your supplies, your medications and everything. What is going to be in those kits. Okay. So diabetes disaster response coalition suggests including the following items. Okay, including the following items. All right. Number one, in that bag, you should have your insulin and syringes for each injection. In your emergency kit, you must have your number one, have your insulin and syringes for each injection. Okay. 2, glucose meter. 3, extra batteries for the glucose meter and insulin pump. 4, lancets and lancing devices. 5, glycogen kits. We all know what is glycogen kit. 6, alcohol wipes. And 7, water. I'm not yet done. 7, water. Let's go to 8, 9, and 10. 8, insulin pump supplies, including extra pump sets and station devices. 9, glucose tablets. You can also pack quick card like honey, juice, or hard candy. So glucose tablet. Why did they say have honey, juice, or handy card? Why did they say if you cannot find glucose tablets, why do you have to have honey? When they say stay away from honey that it contains sugar, juice that contains added sugar, or handy candy, hard candy. Why do they say have extra? It's because of hypoglycemia. Because of hypoglycemia. Okay, we all know what is hypoglycemia. Should your blood sugar drop below the normal level and you are weak or faint or lose consciousness or can't recognize your environment, you need when your sugar level drop, you need something that contains sugar that's going to boost your sugar level up to be normal. So that's why they say have this in your bag. So when you experience hypoglycemia, when your sugar level drops all of a sudden and you are weak or faint or collapse, or you are dizzy, or you're having blurred vision because your sugar level now dropped below the normal level, you need something that contains sugar that can boost it up to normal level. That's why they say have honey, juice, or hard candy. All right. So number 10, have oral diabetes medication. Number 10, oral diabetes medication. And then the number 11, the last one, is empty plastic bottles or sharp container. Okay, so this this is what you should put in a diabetic emergency kit. This is what you should put in a diabetic emergency kit and should be stored according to the manufacturer's instruction in the room temperature as specified. You don't have to go and keep it in a hot environment. So you have to follow the manufacturer's instruction and on how to store your emergency kit. Some will say store it in a standard room temperature, or some will say store it in a fridge. So you have to follow the manufacturer's instruction on how to store your emergency kit. All right. So now that I have given you guys the list of the medical information that you need that have to be in your kit, and then the supplies that must be in your bag. Okay. The question now, somebody is asking me, do I need more than one kit? Somebody is asking me, do I need today that I'm not getting a question, that makes it easy for me. So I got a question. Somebody says, do I need more than one kit? So the question is very simple. It says, do I need more than one kit? And I've answered that question in the beginning. Okay. Think about what will make you most comfortable and prepare accordingly. Okay. Uh, as I said, the question, you must have more than one kit. You can't have only one kit. You must have more than one kit. Like, don't count your home. Your home, you have your medication in your home there. That is different. So your home should not be part of where your emergency kit is. Your home is not counted as one. Your home is separate. You are going to have more than one kit. You are going to have one in your car, permanent in your car if you drive. You must have an emergency kit in your car. Keep it there permanently. If you have 2 car, 3 car, each car must have their own kit. That is one. If you don't have a car, make sure you have your, like if you're a woman or a man that have, women have their handbags, make sure you have your emergency kit in that bag permanently with you at all times. Some women have bags they go to work. They have a bag they go to work. It's different from their the bag when they go to the market or they go to party. If you know that bag that you carry to work constantly or to your business area, you must have your emergency kit in that bag permanently with you so that you don't forget. That is 2. 3, in your office or in your business area, in your store, you must have an emergency kit there permanently. If you have a child that is a diabetic and you enroll them in a diabetic that has the facility for diabetic children, they should be able, if they don't have emergency kit, then you have to prepare one for your child specifically and hand it over to the school to keep for your child. So because each kid have their individual needs in terms of diabetics. Okay, so some schools will say no, provide your own child. Your own child should come with their own kit. We know how to use it. Make sure your child have their own kit permanently in the school. So because each child has their own cupboard. So they go and keep it there. So when there's an emergency, they know where to go and get it to help sort out the situation. So you see, from the what I have just listed, you are going to have more than 1 or 2 kits emergency kit with you. Okay, so the one you carry in your bag will serve you all the time. If you are going to spend the night in your friend place, your boyfriend, your girlfriend place, that one can serve you for that night. But make sure it's going to cover you for at least, if you end up spending 2 nights, 3 nights there, make sure you have enough that can last you for up to a week or maximum 2 weeks. Now, if you are traveling to the village or village to the city, you must have your emergency kit with you at all times, because minimum travel from one city to the other might take you up to 8 hours drive, or more than that if you're going to use public transport. So you must have your emergency kit with you. So the answer is you are going to have more than 1 kit or even more than 3 kits with you, because you must have them at different locations. Okay, so that answers your question. Yeah, Beverly, you're welcome. You are welcome. So that answers that question, if you should have more than 1 kit. Yes, so I've answered that question. Uh, uh, so this is the topic that we are discussing today. What should I put in a diabetic emergency kit? I've given you guys the list of medical information that must contain in your emergency kit. I've given you guys those lists, and I also give you guys the list of supplies that must be contained in your emergency kit. So you have those 2 lists information that you must have in those emergency kits. All right, please. Today I'm having internet issue. My internet is fluctuating, so my video is not stable. So I'm just managing it for today to get it sorted out later. So bear with me. All right, bear with me. So, so I've given you guys the list of information that must be in your medical information. There are 2 lists. One is for medical information that must be in that emergency kit, and the other one is the supplies that you must have in your emergency. So you need those 2 things to be contained in your emergency kit. All right. So another question is, somebody's asking me, how long does a kit last? I've answered it. Okay. Somebody's asking me, how long does a kit last? Okay. I've answered it. To answer it one more, I said, let me go back and then I'm going to. This is part of your answer. Your supply should be packed enough for at least 1 to 2 weeks. This is part of your answer. So if you know you are traveling from the village to the city or city to the village for 2 weeks, make sure you have 4 weeks supply. Make sure you have 2 extra weeks, because you might travel to the city and you couldn't come back within 2 weeks. You end up staying a month. So you are traveling for 2 weeks, have for 1 month. So have 2 weeks extra. If you are traveling for a month, make sure you have 2 months supply with you. If you are traveling for 2 months, make sure you have 4 months supply with you. 2 months extra. Should you go there and you were not able to come back, at least you know you have extras. Okay. Now, many of the medical supplies will be marked with an expiration date. That's one thing you have to contend yourself with. Many of the medical supplies will be marked with an expiration date. So when putting your kit together, make note of those expiration dates and clearly label them H. All right. So many of the medical supplies will be marked with an expiration date. So you have to take cognizance of that. That, okay, this is going to expire so and so and date. So you know you have to use it before that time. So the one that is going to be expiring earlier than the other, use it first. Okay, you assemble them. One, okay, this is expiring early, it's going to come first. This one is going to expire in 2 days. Later, 2 days after the first one, comes second. So you have to arrange it according to the expiration date and use them accordingly. So when putting your kit together, make note of the expiration date and clearly label them each. This will need to be replaced if not used, and you might find it helpful to set reminders to rotate items out. Okay, you arrange the ones that are going to be expiring, according to the expiration date, and use them according to the expiration date, and then mark and label them clearly so that you understand when you get to your destination, or if you're on the road, you know, okay, I'm going to use this first, and then the next one follows first. So this is how you are going to use your supply. So because this is the question that I'm answering now, how long does it last? And then, as I said, this is going to be part of your answer. Where is it again? I said your supply should be packed enough for at least 1 to 2 weeks. Okay, so if you are going to be away for 2 weeks, make sure you have 4 weeks, 2 weeks extra. If you are going to be away for 1 month, make sure you have 2 months, so have 1 month extra. If you are going to be away for 2 months, if you are going to be away for 2 months, have 4 months. That means you have 2 months extra, because you never know what is going to happen to you where you're traveling, that you might end up spending extra months. Okay, and then after you noted that, then the second thing you have to take into cognizance is that many of your medical supplies will be marked with an expiration date. So when putting your kit together, make note of the expiration date and clearly label them each. This will need to be replaced if not used, and you might find it helpful to set reminders to rotate items out. So whichever medication is going to be expiring early should come first. So use them first before the expiration date, and then the next one that is going to follow, that is how you're going to arrange your medication according to the expiration date and use them accordingly. Okay, you can use supplies up to avoid wasting them and replenish the kit if you do so. Make sure you don't waste any of your medication, because remember, you are out of your comfort zone. You are now on the road. You are visiting another city, so you don't know the facility that is out there. Because when you travel to a new city, you don't know which doctor that is within the surrounding where you are going. Okay. Now, one more thing I'm going to advise you guys, and this is what I do. When I'm traveling to another state, okay, and I'm going to be staying in a hotel, I will search for a medical facility or a hospital that is within that hotel that I'll be staying. Okay, I will make sure there is a clinic that is no less than 30 minutes away from the hotel where I'm going to be staying. Either there is a clinic or there is a pharmacy. I'll make sure there is a pharmacy within range. I also make sure there is a full hospital within range, or a medical facility, a doctor's office within that hotel. So should there be an emergency and I run out of medication, or my medication expired, I can go to that medical doctor and say, look, I'm a visitor here. My medication has expired. I need a prescription. I can pay extra for a doctor to prescribe me in that state to go and get my drugs. So anytime you are traveling and you are going to be staying in a hotel, make sure the hotel you are staying have a clinic, if not a hospital, within 30 minutes, not more than 30 minutes away from that hotel. Make sure there is a pharmacy or a chemist within that vicinity. And make sure there is a medical doctor's office within that vicinity. Should you are in that hotel and you find out by mistake that your medication have expired or run out, and then you are out of your state, you can go into that doctor's office with your medication and pay for a new prescription. So you can now go to the pharmacy and replenish your drugs. So make sure you have those in your planning. That is what I do. Okay. So you can use supplies up to avoiding wasting them and replenish the kit if you do so. All right. So insulin has 2 expiration dates for when it is on open and open. Remember that insulin have two expiration date. When you open an insulin, it has an expiration date when you open it. And if not opened, there's an expiration date. So you must make sure you know all about that. Okay? So uh, this so insulin has two expiration dates from when it is unopened and then opened. So you have to, so if you are dependent on insulin, you must make sure you know the expiration date for opened insulin and then open insulin and then use it accordingly. So not waste it. Okay. Do we have any question? My insulin is acting up. Okay. My internet, sorry, my internet is not good today, so that is why my video is fluctuating. So just that is why I'm using a point to marshal out what I'm saying. So most type of insulin, remember I said I posted before, I say insulin has two expiration dates for when it is unopened and then open. So you have to take cognizance of that. Now, most type of insulin recommend use within 28 to 30 days after opening it. If you are refrigerating your kids, the unopened insulin can last several months. So make sure you know about that. All right. Make sure you read the instructions on your prescriptions for detailed storage information. So make sure you read your instructions on your prescriptions for detailed storage information. Okay. So are we making any sense? If you guys have any question, anybody that has any question, please not forget to ask. If you have any question, please do not forget to ask. All right. Okay. So most type of insulin recommend use within 28 to 30 days after you open them. Now, if you are refrigerating your kids, the unopened insulin can last several months. All right. And make sure you have read the instructions on your prescriptions for detailed storage information. Okay. Now, if you have multiple diabetic emergency kits, okay, this is very important. Listen carefully. If you have multiple diabetic emergency kits, keep in mind that their lifespan will differ depending on how you store them. Okay. So if you have multiple diabetic emergency kits, keep in mind that their lifespan will differ depending on how you store them. That is why you must follow the manufacturer's instructions of your drug, how to store them. Most drugs will say store in room temperature or store them in refrigeration on a certain temperature. So if you, for instance, you have a multiple kit and one of your insulin or have to be stored in a refrigeration, you have to be refrigerated in a fridge at a certain temperature. Now in a car, you don't have fridge in the car. So the lifespan of that kit in the car will differ from the one that you have at home because the one at home is it's on the fridge. Okay, so that is what I'm trying to say. So if you have a multiple diabetic emergency kit, keep in mind that their lifespan will differ depending on how you store them. For example, a kit in your car that includes insulin would need to be replaced more frequently than the kit that is in the fridge for it to work. All right. So I hope I'm making sense here. Now, once more again, let's remind our viewers that please um, let's remind our viewers. Okay, if this is your first time on my page, do not forget to subscribe to my page so that you'll be notified when a new content is dropped. And if you already belong to this page and you're a fan to this page, I thank you. Do not forget to like, comment, and share. Please, I like you guys to share the page, share the video all the time, and also give me thumbs up. The more thumbs up I get, the more the page is recommended to other viewers in other locations. Okay, and also help to share the page if you already subscribed to this page. Okay, so I thank you guys for your support. All right, so let's go back to what I was saying. If you have multiple diabetic emergency kits, remember that in mind. Keep in mind that their lifespan will differ depending on how you store them. For example, a kit in the car that includes insulin will need to be replaced more frequently than the one that is in the fridge at home or at work. I just explain it. Okay, so have that in mind and try to understand. You have to follow, make sure you read the instructions on your prescriptions for detailed storage information. It is important to read uh, um, so if you have multiple diabetic emergency kits, okay, keep in mind that their lifespan will differ depending on how you store them. Okay, their lifespan will depend how you store them. Okay, for example, a kit in your car that includes insulin will need to be replaced more frequently than the refrigerated kit at work. Okay, so this is the things you're supposed to know. If your emergency contact number, insurance policy, or medical record change, it is important to update this part of the kit as well. So once any information in your medical information changes, make sure you correct it immediately. Okay, make sure you correct it immediately. Remember, I've given you guys two informations. I've given you guys what's supposed to be contained in your medical kit, information required in your medical kit, and also giving you the information that you need, the details, supplies that you need in your emergency kit. Okay, so there are two things that must be contained in this emergency kit. One is your medical information, and again, the supplies that you must have in your emergency kit. And then you have to make sure you read the instructions of your prescriptions for detailed storage informations on how to store them if you have a multiple emergency kit. Remember also, insulin have two expiration dates. We have expiration when it is open and unopened. So you have to understand those expiration dates and use your insulin according to the expiration date. Arrange them, label them each according to the expiration date, and then use them accordingly. Remember not to waste your supplies when you are on the road or out of your comfort home. If you are traveling in another new city, try as much as you can not to waste your supplies. It's very, very important. Okay. Now, uh, what am I going to say now? Temperature matters. Okay, here are some key tips for getting the most out of your diabetic emergency kit to prevent damage. Okay, now do you have any question? I see everybody is quiet. Okay. Temperature matters. Here are some key tips for getting the most out of your diabetic emergency kit and preventing damage. Okay. And preventing damage. I have 30 minutes to round up. 30 minutes to round up for today. Excuse me. I have 30 minutes to round up. My internet is not as the best today. So, um, temperature matters. Here are some of the key tips for getting the most out of your diabetic emergency kit and preventing damage. Okay. One, so aim for room temperature or refrigeration. Okay, you have to aim for room temperature. I say this is what I'm discussing now. Temperature matters. Here are some key tips for getting the most out of your diabetic emergency kit and prevent damage. And I say one, aim for room temperature or refrigeration. Two, if you cannot refrigerate your insulin, the CDC recommend trusted from the trusted source. The ideal temperature for storage is between 59 and 86 0 Fahrenheit, about 15 to 30 degrees centigrade. Okay, this is what you have to aim at. Number three, okay, number three, uh, number four is my internet is fluctuating. That is number three. Okay, and then number four, don't allow your kit to be frozen. Don't use frozen insulin even if after 8 hours, and it loses its effectiveness. So this is um, let me go back again. The temperature matters. Here are some key tips for getting the most out of your diabetic emergency kit and preventing damage. And number one, I says aim for room temperature or refrigeration. Two, if you cannot refrigerate your insulin, the CDC recommend from a trusted source the ideal temperature is between 59 and 86 Fahrenheit, which is about 15 to 30 degrees centigrade. Okay, and then number three is avoid storing your kit somewhere in the direct sun or where it could be damaged by water. And then the last one, number four, is don't allow your kit to be frozen and don't use frozen insulin even after a thaw, as it does loses its effectiveness. So this is some of the tips for how to store your medications with a temperature. So now I hope I've given you guys some of the tips. I hope I've given you guys some of the tips you need. Okay, because my internet is fluctuating, so I'm trying to make sure. Now we have a question here. It says, "What is diabetic emergency? What is diabetic emergency? What is diabetic emergency?" Okay, aside from having a diabetic hit for scenarios like natural disasters, power outages, or national security events, medical emergency directly related to diabetes can happen. Okay, let me repeat it again. Aside from having a diabetic hit for scenarios like natural disasters, power outages, or a national security event, medical emergencies directly related to diabetes can happen. Having all your supplies in one place make things easier to handle, or you will have peace of mind knowing your equipment is right there if you need it. All right. Having all your supplies in one place make things easier to handle. You will have peace of mind knowing your equipment is right there if you need it. Now, knowing what diabetic emergency look like and how they occur can help you prepare. Let me reframe that again. Knowing what diabetic emergency look like and how they occur can help you be prepared. Educating your family, friends, and even your co-workers about how they can help if you have experienced a diabetic emergency can help everyone feel more prepared. And that is what I've been saying right from the beginning of this show. That if you're a diabetic, you must let your co-workers know your diabetic status and how to help you out when you run into emergency at work. Or if you have a child that is a diabetic and they are in school, you must let the school know their diabetic status and how to help should there be an emergency in your absence. If you have an elderly parent that is in the village or living with you, you must let the caregivers know how to handle diabetic emergency and what to do should it occur in your absence. All right. So even in your at home there, you should know and be prepared for emergency if you're diabetic. And when they occur, you should be prepared to handle it. And that is why it is nice, okay, to know and be prepared that there is something we call diabetic emergencies. And when they do occur, you are prepared to handle it. Okay. So now, in the event that you don't have all the supplies at home, it is advised to contact emergency medical service right away if you believe you or your loved one is experiencing a medical diabetic emergency. So that is what I discussed about 2 weeks ago about diabetic coma. When you go into coma and you're diabetic, that is when you have to leave anything you are doing. The first point of call is to rush that person to the hospital for an emergency treatment. Because any minute you waste there running up and down, shouting, crying, and panicking, that person that is in a coma, diabetic coma, is getting damage, the brain damage or the organs damage that can be paralyzing for life, or if not, taken to the hospital can be fatal, and even death. So when you run to a diabetic emergency and then you feel that you don't have all the supplies at home, the first point of call is to reach out for medical services like an ambulance or paramedic, and then rush that person or your loved one to the hospital for an emergency treatment. It is very, very important you are prepared for diabetic emergency. Okay? It is very, very important you should be prepared for diabetic emergency. So that answers the question, what is diabetic emergency? Okay? Diabetic emergency is that are directly related to diabetics. Okay, it can happen to anyone. It can happen to you. Either you run out of supplies and you can't get any within around you to give to yourself or to your loved one. All of a sudden, somebody go into faint, shock, and there is no supplies within reach. That becomes an emergency that you have to get that person to the hospital, to the clinic for medical attention. But being prepared is one thing. That is why you have to have your kit at home. Anywhere you are, have your emergency kit with you so that should it happen anywhere you are, there is a help to reach you, there is a help within reach that you can render help. Or it might not be you, you might be at a party, anywhere, someone that is diabetic, go to an emergency, your kit can even save the life of that person. You can go into your car, get your emergency kit, and render help to save that life, and then replenish your kit later. So that is why you must have your kit with you at all times. All right? That is why you must have your kit with you at all times. All right? So now, do we have any other question? Do we have any other question? Before we round up for today, because my internet, I don't want to waste time today because my internet is fluctuating, so I have to redo the whole thing again and get it started. So, do we have any other question before I give my final takeaway for today? Okay. Let me give my final takeaway for today's broadcast. Okay. While pre-made kits are available, assembling your own diabetic emergency kit allows you to do the best prepared for an emergency by meeting your individual needs. Okay. A well-equipped kit should be thorough collections of your medical information and essential supplies, including insulin, glucose monitor, snacks, and water. It is important to be aware of expiration date and update your kit regularly. Ideally, keeping the kit refrigerated or a room temperature and avoid extreme heat, cold, and wetness. Knowing you have everything you need in a case of a diabetic emergency like DKA or insulin shock can help empower you and alleviate stresses. Okay? Familiarize yourself with the warning signs of common diabetic emergency and don't hesitate to seek medical assistance. All right. So knowing you have everything you need in a case of diabetic emergency like DKA or insulin shock can help empower you and alleviate stresses. Familiarize yourself with the warning signs of common diabetic emergencies and don't hesitate to seek medical assistance if need be. Okay, so you must be prepared to have your diabetic emergency kit with you at all times. It is very, very important you have them with you. Okay, it is very, very important you have them with you. Once more, let me give shout out to a medical friend that helped prepare today's broadcast. This is prepared and reviewed by Dr. Uh, let me get the name correct. This is prepared and reviewed by Dr. Dominic Fontaine and Jamie Henderson for these topics today that I'm presenting. They helped me prepare this presentation, and I'm giving a shout out to them and say thank you very much for this well prepared presentation. I'm going to be calling on you guys anytime I need help when my table is full to help me do some preparation. So once more, I'm giving a shout out to Dr. Dominic Fontaine and Dr. Jimmy Henderson for today's topic presentation. It is well guided, well thought of. I say thank you guys for assisting me this time around. Okay. Now, for those that are not yet subscribed to my page, please kindly do me a favor, go to my page and then subscribe. And for those that have subscribed, do not forget to give me thumbs up, all right? And do not forget to share this video to your friends. Let it go viral Once more, I do apologize for today's video because my internet is weak. So there's a lot of fluctuation in the video output. I promise you guys in my next broadcast, I'm going to get it all right running. So once again, thank you guys for today's broadcast. And then in order not to waste your time and hold you guys today, I wish everybody a happy Sunday, to family, friends, and please make sure you make sure you have low intake of carbs. Do not be carried away in your consumption of carbs. Make sure you control what you eat and the amount of carbs you take wherever you are today. Once more, I thank you guys for today's broadcast. I'm going to see you guys next time. Say goodbye to you all. Bye bye.